Hello guys, welcome back to the part 3 of our FastAPI series. In our last video, in the last couple of videos, we've implemented the authentication system where users can sign up, can log in, password can also be reset, email verification and all that. So in this very video, we want to start working on the agent module, right? Where agents can create agent profile. They can upload their profile picture and they can provide their information. So that's what we'll be doing. So for us to start that, we have to create a new model. All right, so we have a couple of models. So if you are just joining us, please check out the first 2 videos of this series, and also don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. So next, what we're going to do now is to create a table, a database table for agent details. So we're going to call it agent details. All right, so it's going to be taking our base as well. Then the name, which is table name, we're going to call it agents. All right, then we can just take this ID because the ID obviously is going to be same for all tables. So we're going to take this ID feed, just copy it and bring it over. All right, so feeds that we're going to have are full names, like the agent's name, so we can call it names, and the type is going to be string as well. Nullable equals false. Then any other informations can be their phone number, so agent's phone number. For agent's phone number, we are going to be using a string also, and the string length we're going to make it 20. Nullable as well. Then their office address, something like the office address. Then a profile picture, so we're going to say profile picture or profile image. So these also are still going to make it string because what we want to save in our database is not the actual image, because it's not a good practice to save an image in your database. So what we're going to save is actually URL of the image. That's what will be saved in the database. So this, I'm going to make this nullable equals true for this, because at first they may not be providing this. Maybe after they have upload their details, and they can later upload their profile picture. So this, let me just put the as says the image URL. All right, then this has to have a relationship with the user, because for you to be an agent you have to be a logged in user as well. So we're going to say user underscore ID, which is a foreign key relationship, foreign key to the feed to the table of users dot ID. All right, so what we are making reference to is this user table. The name of the user table is users, so that's what we are using. Not the class name, but the table name dot ID. That's what we're referring to. Then we also want to add the onDelete. So you also have the onDelete, which we can set to be cascade, which means if the user is deleted, the agent details also for that user should be deleted as well. So we are setting to cascade. And lastly, we can now set user. So user is equals to relationship to users, the table name, that's the class table name. Then we say use list is equals to false, because we want relationship to be one-to-one relationship, so we don't want it to be many to one. So for that, we will use that flag there. Then we also want to put the back populates, which is going to be the profile. All right, so these are the feeds that we need. If there's any other feeds that you need to add in your own case, you can add as well. So once we create this relationship, we can also do that in the user model. So once we go back to the user model, and then we're going to call it profile. So profile. All right, the name of the model that we want to relate to is agent details. The same thing, use list is false because it's going to be a one-to-one relationship. Back populates is user. All right, so we can easily say from our agent table, agent.user to get user data, and users.agent or users.profile to get the agent details. All right, so we save this. We need to run our Alembic migration to integrate this. So I'm going to open up the VS Code terminal. All right, so in here we're going to run Alembic revision -- auto generate -m, then added an agent details table. All right, that was done. So if we come over to our versions folder, we should see the, let's just check, look at it, added and agent details, and you see the SQL schema that was generated for us. You can see op.createTable agents and look at the feeds. So we can run Alembic upgrade head. All right. So Alembic upgrade, which is this very method that was generated. And the latest migration is referred to as the head. So we say Alembic upgrade head to apply the changes. All right. So once that has been done, if you head back to our SQL table, so let's just refresh this table. So if you refresh table, you see now we now have 4 tables. We have the agent table. Currently, there is no data in the agent table. So let's work on that. So what we want to do is just the same way we separated everything about the authentication into the auth module in our router, we want to also create a separate file to handle all the endpoints for agents. So new file, we're going to call it agents.py. All right. So if we go over to the auth, let's just grab some of the things that we know we will likely use again. So let's just take from this top, grab this and bring it over to this agent module. We'll just do some cleanup. So this is going to be /API/version1/agents or agent/agent. All right. This one we're going to call it not user authentication, but agent information. All right. Then we don't need this password security, and as well the durability, we don't also need that. You can take that out. All right, I think the others we need them. Okay, so now we can start creating our route. So let's say the first route is to actually create an agent or add a new agent. So that is going to be a post request. So we're going to say router.post, and the route is going to just be the home page. All right. Then the status code, we also make this an async function as well. We're going to call it add agent dt. All right, so we also need our DB session as well, because we're going to be interacting with our new database. It depends on our get DB. And secondly, we are also going to be interacting with the current login user. So for that, we'll be needing our get authenticated user. All right, so that we're going to call it current user, current_user, and this we are going to set it equals to, it's going to be a type of integer because it's actually the user ID that we want, and this is going to depend on, our get current user, which is coming from our JWT auth. We have get authenticated user. All right, so we need that, and lastly we need the actual agent schema. So I'm going to call that agent is going to be coming from schema.agent create. We've not done this yet, so this is what we'll be doing next. So we've not created that schema yet, so let's just put pass for now. All right, so let's go to our schema.py file and create our schema for our agent table. All right, so in our schema, we're going to create the schemas for agents. So we're going to create a class. We're going to call it, first of all, we're going to have agent base, agent create, and then the one we're going to use for agent response. So let's first of all say agent base. This is going to extend our base model. So this is going to have, so first of all, we need names, which is going to be string, right? Then phone numbers, and the last is office_address, which is also of type string. All right, then so that's the base. Then the create, we're going to say agent. This is going to extend our agent base. All right, and we don't need to provide any other feed, so we just do pass. So for us to create a new agent, we just need the name, the phone number, and their office. So if you have any extra information, probably you added extra feeds apart from these 3 feeds that are added here, maybe something like the about. If you want to add maybe about and maybe some other information about the agent, you can as well add them here. All right, so for agent retriever, the one we're going to be using for the agent response, this is also going to be extending our agent base, and as well is going to be ID. Then apart from that, we're also going to be adding the profile picture if there is any profile picture. So these have to be optional. So this we are going to use the union flag, which is coming from, let's import it, I think from identic or from typing. We have union, right? Typing, we import union, and this is going to take either string or none. All right, we're going to take type of either string or none, and the default is going to be none. This should be profile image, I mean. Then lastly, the user detail. So we can simply say user equals to our user model. All right, so because it already has a relationship, so we will be using the user model, which is this very model. So we are using here, we are using nested model in this case, so the user as well. So all right, so these are agent schema. So we can save and go back to our agents.py. So you see this is not under train error. So here we can as well put a response model, which is the model we want to use for our response. You can say schema.agent. All right, so that will be the model that we're going to use for our response. So in this case, the first thing we are going to do first, we don't want the user to have multiple agent accounts or multiple agent details. So first of all, we want to check if the logged in user already has agent details. By passing this current user flag, we already make this particular endpoint an authenticated endpoint. So this one will require the user to be logged in, all right, because of that simple flag. So what we are checking is that we want to check if this login user already has agent details. If he has agent details, we don't want to allow them to recreate another agent details. This will have enable us avoid duplicate agent accounts. So what we'll simply do is you can just say make a simple query, call it user agent or any variable you want to use. I will set it equals to db.query, and this time I want to query our models.agent details .filter where models.agent detail .id, sorry, not .id, .user ID. Remember, it has an user ID feed is equals to our current user .id. All right, so if this returns true, so we want to say .first if we have anyone that matches this query. So we're going to say if user agent, that means this user has already created an agent account. So we want to raise an HTTP, sorry about that sound, the plane is passing by. All right, so we want to raise an HTTP error. So we're going to say status dot not allowed. You can use bad request if you want to use bad request. 403 not acceptable. Okay, then I can provide a detail, which you can say user already have agent account. That's good enough. So this will prevent duplicate agent account. So if that is not the case, we can start creating a new agent. So we can say new agent is equals to our models.agent detail, and we want to pass the user ID because the user ID is not part of the schema. So we're going to say the feed of user ID should equals our current user.id. Then outside that, we want to spread the initial agent data. So we're going to say agent.dictionary. So we want to convert it to a dictionary. So we can spread, this agent schema, which contains the names, the phone number, and the office address. Because for the model, we need the user ID and we need the office address, the phone number, and the name. So the name, phone number, and office address is coming from the schema, but this one we are using the current user to populate this. Why this can be null because we set null label to be true. So later on we'll create another endpoint for users to upload image. So we have a new user or new agent. Once we have this, we can commit by first of all doing db.add. We'll add that new agent. Then next we say db.commit. So once we do that, we also want to say db.refresh as well. db.refresh new agent. All right, so we want to return new agent. All right, so that will be the endpoint for us to add agent details. And before I forget, to two things we need to do before any other thing is in the schema. Let's make sure we are setting our ORM config. So in here I can simply say class config. We have ORM underscore mode equals to true, to avoid any kind of error when creating when creating agent, all right, that's first. Then secondly, we need to also bring this agent module that we are creating to handle all the agents endpoint. We need to bring it into our main.py as well. So we know in our main.py we are already importing auth, so we also want to import agents as well. All right, from router we are importing agents. Yeah, so also we want to register it as well. All right, that's good. So that's the first endpoint that we want to create. So this we add the new agent details. So the next endpoint that we want to define is the endpoint to upload profile picture. And what we are going to use, we are going to be using Cloudinary to handle file upload, so that our uploaded file will directly be uploaded to the Cloudinary cloud storage, which we can obviously use in production as well, because once we deploy this, we know that we already have cloud storage provision already. So install some certain things. So let's go to the Cloudinary website so that we'll see their docs on how we can integrate it into our Python web application. You can log in for free. The login is very straightforward. So once you log in, it will take you to this particular dashboard. I'm already logged in, so it will show you how to set it up for different kind of programming language. So just move over to Python, because we're using Python, and we have to install it by using pip install Cloudinary. So Cloudinary is just a cloud storage, just like your S3 bucket and other cloud storage services. So this is just another easy to use, very friendly cloud storage. There's a free version that you can use, but the storage is actually very small. Then if you actually want to use for production, you have to visit their premium plan. All right, so there's a premium plan, but the free version is okay for us to use. It's very easy to set up. So first of all, let's just run this pip install Cloudinary. Your environment is still on, so pip install Cloudinary. All right, so installing collected, successfully installed Cloudinary. That's fine. So the next thing is you need to get your Cloudinary name, which is this kind of random string that is generated for you, your API key, which is this, and your API secret. You can always generate your API secret, and these credentials should be kept secret. All right, bring them into your environment file. Just grab all this and bring it to my env file. And also in our config file, we also need to provide the names. Is also string, then class secret string as well. All right, so those environment variables are set, and then our Cloudinary is installed. So for us to use Cloudinary, we have to make some imports. So we are going to say, I think from Cloudinary uploader import upload. All right, that's what we want to use. And secondly, we also want to import from FastAPI. I want to import the upload file and also the file as well. We don't need these background tasks now. All right, so Python PI. All right, our imports are set, so we can head over and start creating our endpoint to upload a new image. So we're going to say router.post. All right, then this is going to / upload profile or upload agent profile image. All right, I think that's better. Status code is going to be status.200. okay. If it's successful, then we want to put our respond model. We're going to be using our schema.agent to define our async function again, which we are going to call upload profile image. So here we are going to say file is using the upload file type. All right, and this is equals to the file feed that we imported and what we want to make it require. All right, so then we also need our DB which DB using our session, and this is depending on our get DB. And finally, we also need the current user, because for a user to upload image, they have to be authenticated. So we say current user. This is of type int, and this is depending on our get current and get authenticated user, which is also under JWT auth dot get authenticated user. All right, file. All right. So this is kind of a built-in schema for file upload provided by FastAPI. The type we are specifying is a file type, and this 3 dots is to signify that the file is actually required for this to work. All right, so once we have this out of the way, so first thing first, we need to confirm that the person that is performing this profile picture upload is actually the user that is logged in first, and also the user that is logged in is the owner of the agent's profile. So it will not be a good user experience if somebody can update an agent profile that is not his. And here we're going to say db.query models.agent details, and we want to do filter where models.agent details .user id is equals to our current user .id. So this we want to say first. So we're going to say if not agent query .first, we want to raise an HTTPS session with a status code of status.41 not authorized, and we will provide a detail say you are not authorized to perform this. All right, you can actually use a better message. All right, so we're going to create a variable. You can call it any name. I'm going to call it results. I'm going to set it equals to the upload, which is the upload function that we import from Cloudinary. And this is expecting the file that we want to upload, so we'll pass in this file. We're going to say file.file. All right, so that will be the file that's coming from this file parameter. So that we upload the file, and we can also pass public ID, public_ID. This is coming from Cloudinary, and this you can just say agent profile. All right. So once we do that, the next we can get our image URL. Let's say image URL is going to come from our results variable.get URL. All right, so you can actually do a print of this to see the URL. You can say print image URL. So that will show you the URL. All right, so once we have the image URL, so this line of code will upload the image to Cloudinary, and this will generate a URL that we can retrieve from the result, which is result.get URL. So once we get the image URL, we want to upload it to our database. All right, so we're going to update our agent query by say agent query.update, and in here we want to update the feed. I think we call it profile picture, profile_image, and that's the value is going to be our image URL. And secondly, synchronize, we want to change it to false, and synchronize session to false. Then we want to do db.commit. All right, then we want to return the user, so we simply say return the agent. So we're going to say return agent query.first. Right, so which will return the agent object. Before we run our test, let's quickly set up other endpoints. Oh, sorry, there's a typo here. We have to provide the decorator symbol, which is the @ sign. All right, so this is out of our way. So let's just quickly create the endpoint to retrieve a single agent. All right, so it's not like an agent DT page or agent DT endpoint. So this also, we're going to say router.get, and the path is going to be / the agent ID. So that's a parameter that we want to pass. Then status code, we want to set it to OK, 200 OK. And the response model as well is going to be our schema.agent. So we can define our async function too. And this we're going to call it get_agent detail. Here we just need the agent ID parameter, which is going to be an int, and our DB session as well. So DB session depends on our get DB. I think that's all. User don't need to be authenticated for them to be able to see agent detail. Because users that want to use the platform or wherever use the API probably to see agents detail or see the list of agents. I think that should be public. So for that reason, I'm not passing the current users parameter. So what we are simply going to do is just to query for the agent by the ID and check if the agent with that ID exists. If the agent exists, we return the agent. If the agent does not exist, we return an error back. Alright, so db.query. Alright, I think we can put this as well in our SQL query. Alright, so of course just making out this query here because we may probably need to get an agent by their ID some other time. So if we are going to be using that, let's just make it reusable. So inside our SQL and say get agent by ID. This is going to be taking DB and also is going to be taking the agent ID. So we're going to say agent ID. So the type for this DB is going to be the session, database session, then the type for, and this is going to be a type of int. And this we're just going to provide the query to retrieve an agent with that ID. So I'm just going to paste this here. Alright, so we simply return db.query models.agentDetail.filter where the models.agentDetail.id is equals to the agent ID that we provide .first to retrieve the ones that match, the only one that match. So we can use that here. Alright, so we can simply say SQL query .get agent by ID. And here we pass in our DB and also we pass in the agent ID as well. So agent ID equals to our own agent ID. Alright, so this will retrieve our agent for us. So we only check if not agent. That means if an agent with that was not found. Okay, if an agent was not found, we want to raise an HTTP exception. Alright, for not found. Then we can give a simple detail message. Here we can even make this an S string so that we can substitute the ID agent with the ID. Here we can substitute our agent ID. Alright, so if the agent was found, we simply want to return the agent. Alright, so that's all we need to do for that. So I think we are almost done. We have our endpoint to create an agent, an endpoint to upload the agent photo, an endpoint to retrieve a single agent. So the endpoint that we're going to do next is to get a list of agents. So let's just know we are done with everything, every endpoint for agents. So we're going to retrieve all our agents. All right. This is going to be very simple. So we are still going to be using the slash. All right. Remember, we already have a preface URL. So all our endpoints is going to /API/1/agent. So for those endpoints that are slash, it's going to /agent. So this, we are going to be using slash. Say the status code is going to be HTTP 200. Then the response model is going to be a list. So we need to import list. If I have not import list, so let's import list from typing. So we are going to say from typing import list. All right. And here we're going to say schema.agent. So this is going to return a list of our agents. So that's what it's expecting. And here we're going to define our view function. And this is also going to be very simple. So we're going to call this get agent list or get all agents. And this, you just need the DB session. All right. I think that's the only parameter that we need in this endpoint. Create an SQL query to retrieve all agents. So we'll just go to our SQL query just below it here where we have our get user by ID. We're going to define another one, say get all agent. All right, this is just expecting a DB session and this is simply going to return our query. So db.query models.agent.all. all right, so that's all we need to do here. And move back to our agent, and here we simply just get our agent and return it. So we can simply say agent is going to be our SQL.get or agent. I'll pass here our DB session. I want to simply return our agents. All right, so that's all. All right, so I think this is enough for now. But if you have any other endpoint, just follow the pattern and add it as well. If you want to add maybe for agent updates, all right, I think that's also an endpoint we can put for agents to be able to update their details. You can also add that, but for now I'm going to leave it like this. Just keep it simple. So I'm saving this, and I think that's all. We can start testing at our endpoints. Okay, our server is still up and running, so let's just quickly go over to our docs and let's just refresh. Okay, so let's check our new endpoints. Good, so our new agent endpoints are here. To get an agent, to add an agent, and also for agent profile. So let's first of all try and get authenticated. So let's log in with those credentials and enter our email. So let's hit login or execute. Our login was successful, so let's grab our token, click the authorize here. Oh, we have to enter it manually. Yes, okay. And if we hit authorize, so let's just close. Let's try and create an agent. You can see it's protected, so this you have to be authenticated, and once that we have to provide the name. So let's provide a name for this agent. All right, so if I hit execute, let's see what happened. All right, we are having internal server error. Okay, the authorization bearer, the token was passed. Okay, so let's try and find out where we are having this error. Let's check our console. Okay, it's coming from the authentication. It says type error, got an unexpected keyword details. Oh, it ought to be detail, not details. So let's quickly fix that. I think that is coming from, let's head over to our JWT line 49. Okay, yet ought to be detail, not details. Okay, our servers will load, and let's just restart everything. All right, so let's get authenticated. Let's authorize. Let's go and try. So let's provide the name again. So let's execute this. We are still having 500 internal server error. Let's try and find out what's wrong. Okay, we are having another error, attribute error, token data, object has no attribute ID. All right, so it's bound to always have bugs at some point, so you have to fix them. Of course, token data is having user underscore ID. So let's see where we are using that, and we are making reference as ID. I guess the current user should be user ID, not user ID. Or better still, we can just correct that here and make this ID. Save this. Then in our JWT, everywhere we are using that token data, we can make it ID. So okay, we can say ID equals to user ID. It's coming here, so let's also check again. I think we're also using it here, so ID equals to user ID. Okay, I guess that the only two places we are using token data. So just save it, and let's check. Our server has restarted, and let's just try and make the request again. We don't have to refresh. Let's just try one more time. So let's see what happened this time. All right, so we get 201 created. The request was successful. Name John Doe, the phone number was added, the address was added. Then you can also see the user ID, right? The profile ID, I mean. Okay, the profile picture which has not been added. Then the user details also was also added. Fine, everything is working. So let's try and upload a profile picture now. So go to the endpoint to add a profile picture. So let's try and upload a profile picture. So let's come here. Make sure you've entered your credentials from Cloudinary image. So let me just upload this. So if I execute, let's see what becomes of our response. We still have 500 internal server error. Upload profile picture. So let's find out what this is. Okay, we are getting value error. or supply API underscore key. The reason for that error was that I forgot to bring in the Cloudinary configuration where we have to pass in the API key and secret key and all that. So let me just quickly copy this, and so we're going to put it inside our database.py file. Alright, so just copy that and paste that here. We also need to import Cloudinary. Alright, with that imported, so we can now substitute the value using our environment variable. So now we bring in this configuration, so Cloudinary will be able to see our API key and all these credentials. So let's just refresh and try it one more time. Probably let us try it again. Now we are authenticated. Let's see if everything works fine. So we can just select new image to upload. So let's select the Avengers image, and this time let's execute. Okay, loading. So let's find out what happened. We have 200. Okay, that's fine. So our request was successful. So this is the URL to the image. So if you copy this URL for the image and you just go to a new browser and paste, I think you can get the image. All right, so you can retrieve the image with just the URL. All right, so with that out of the way, let's test other endpoints. So we already have one agent, so we can get the agent with the ID of 1. So if we execute, this should give us the, all right, we are getting the agent. That's fine. So let's see the other endpoint. That's the other endpoint to get the agent list. We only have one agent now, so but we can still try that and see if we can get our agent list. This is not expecting any parameters, so we can just execute. All right, we're only having one agent in the list. So all the endpoints that we've implemented are working fine now. Okay, lastly, before I end this video, I'm going to add another endpoint to update an agent detail, and then it's going to be kind of similar to our agent detail because we're also going to be retrieving the agent that we want to update with by the ID. So we're just going to paste this here. So let's just say router dot patch, or you can use patch or you can use put. Let's use patch, then the ID. Here we can also do our async function, which we can call update agent details. So this one is also receiving the agent ID, which is an integer, and here we also need a schema, which we can call update data. And this, I think we can still use the same schema that we use for agent create. Then the DB session. Then we also need the authenticated user as well. So we'll say current user. This is integer and is depending on the jwt.get authenticated user. All right, so what we need to do is to first of all get the agent that is logged in. So just the same way we use this user agent, which we are getting the user agent, which is the agent that is logged in, we can as well use this to grab the agent. So we can come over to this place and paste that here. So what we are simply doing here, we are still trying to get the agent that is logged in. All right, so we want to make sure that the user that is logged in is an agent. So we say if not user agent, we want to return an error, so we can also grab that. I think we have that as well. If the user is not an agent, bring it down. Let me paste this and let's remove this. So first thing is to change the status code forbidding for such actions. So that will be the first change. Then we can give a simple message of you are not allowed to perform this action. Then secondly, we want to use the ID to get the actual agent that we want to update and make sure if this is an agent. All right, if the user that is sign in is an agent, we also need to confirm that even if you're an agent, is it your profile that you're trying to update or is another agent's profile that you're trying to update? So we also need to prevent such. So in that case, we'll be making another query to get the agent by the ID. So we can say agent is equals to db.query. I think we already have something like that. What we want is the agent query. Let's get the agent query first, because we're also going to be needing it for the update. In our SQL query, we can just grab this to save time, and then to this point, don't need the first, just the query first. We'll get this part, we can bring it in here. So let's not just waste our time. Paste this. All right, so this will be the agent query that we'll probably use for the update as well. So once we have the agent query, so the check we want to make now is to check if our user agent dot id is not equals to agent query dot first, or better still, let me just do say agent is equals to agent query if agent.id. All right, so what we are checking is that if the user agent, which is obviously the agent that is authenticated, is not the same as the agent that we want to update, which is the agent that we get with this agent query. If that is the case, we want to return raise with a status code updating someone else's profile. All right, first was we are checking if the authenticated user is an agent. If the user is not an agent, obviously they are not allowed to be updating agent profile. That's the first check we are making. So once that returns successful, if the user that is authenticated is an agent, the next thing we want to check is get the actual agent by the ID that was supplied. And once we have the agent, we also want to confirm if the agent that is logged in or the agent that is authenticated is the same as the agent profile that we want to update. That's what the second check is giving us. So once we have those two checks in place, that means everything is fine. The agent that is authenticated is actually the agent's profile. Then we can start calling our update. So what we want to update is our agent query dot update. Then we want to use the data dot dict. We want to convert it to a dictionary because that is what is expected. Then we can provide this sequence not session, make it false. All right, so we also need to call db.commit as well. All right, then there's another possible error that we may have. What if the ID that was entered, there is no agent with that ID? All right, so since we already grabbed the agent as first, so we can also do another check here and say if not agent, that agent was not found with that particular ID that you supplied, what should happen? Then here we can also raise a 404 HTTP with a status of 404 not found. Then as well give you a simple message of saying all right. So after we've prevented all these measures, we'll make these possible failure measures available. We can simply return the agent. All right, so sorry about the sound, an airplane is passing by. We can simply return the agent or the agent query, and then I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, that's all we need. So we can save this and we can try it out. All right, let's check our server and make sure it's still running fine. Okay, and let's just quickly refresh and try it again. Okay, the new endpoint for updating agent details is here, and we have to be authenticated to try it. So let's quickly log in. So let's go and try it. So first time, let's provide an agent that does not exist. So let's provide an ID of 2. So let's try to execute this. All right, you see we are getting 404 error not found. DTA agent with that ID does not exist. That's fine. So that's to show that our session is working fine. So now let's provide the right ID now, which is 1. So let's change the name, in this case to be John Matz this time. Okay, so let's try this out. If we hit execute this time, let's see what happened. You see we are getting 200. Okay, the name was updated, phone number was updated and the address also was updated. Then if we try and get the agent now, all right, provide the ID of 1. Let's see if we'll get the new data. You see we are getting John Mount, which is the updated data, and the office address also was updated. So that's it, guys. We've succeeded in implementing all the logics regarding the agents. All right, so I'm going to end this video here. So in the next video, we'll start working on the property module as well. See you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up.